Hi, this is Arnav. Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to talk about proof of work and proof of stake consensus algorithms. So there's a lot of word in the market going around that is proof of stake the future? Is proof of stake going to overtake the developments that have occurred in proof of work? And or is proof of work the more resilient one? And it will stand the test of time by maybe going through a certain variation and growth and adaptation. So why not understand both of them and see which one should you use in your own specific blockchain application, and what are the pros and cons of each one of them. Okay, so if you consider Bitcoin was the first implementation of a proof of work algorithm, and essentially what we do is we use proof of work for consensus, and in consensus we need the miners, they compete to find a number known as a nonce. So when we are trying to add a block to the blockchain, we are looking for a ceiling number or a special number which has a certain number of zeros associated with it. And that is found by taking the hash of the nonce and the hash of all the transactions in the block. And say the first person who finds that nonce, he announces to the network that, hey, I found the nonce, and then everyone actually when 51% of the network agrees that this is the right nonce for the block, then that block is added to the blockchain. So, and the thing with the hash function is that it's very easy to find, say, the hash of X, but it's almost impossible and very difficult to find the inverse of X. So what happens is we know what is the output and we are finding the inverse of X. So that requires a lot of computation power, and it requires a lot of work which is actually used in electricity and all the energy that the miner uses. So that is proof of work. And the advantages are that it was actually used by Bitcoin, and since Bitcoin is a system which is proved that it can work at scale, that like using a proof of work system is not going to pose that challenge or a security challenge. And in a proof of work system, anyone can become a node and they can start mining new blocks. So it's really simple, but the thing is, it is not that scalable, and there are other disadvantages associated with it as well. And one of them is that there's a lot of energy consumption and it is not that great for the environment. And so say around $1 billion or something is the current cost, which is the mining companies are incurring to run the blockchain of Bitcoin and to do all the mining operations. So that's one disadvantage. And another disadvantage is that the mining operations, they use specially designed chips known as ASIC chips, and they are not that the technology is not that easy and open source. So there are companies who are working on their own proprietary technology, and that they are not open sourcing them. So with time what can happen is that they will actually develop very good ways to mine new blocks, and they will not share that with the whole ecosystem. And that might not be good, because now certain companies, mostly in China, they'll have control of the network and they would be able to decide what happens and what new blocks can be added to the network. So that is one disadvantage of proof of work algorithm. So yeah, that is all about proof of work. So now let's move on to proof of stake algorithm. So proof of stake actually popped up somewhere around 2011 in a Bitcoin forum or something, and they argued that why can't we use resources which are actually internal to the network for the mining process. So in a Bitcoin system, what we are using is hardware which signifies that we have put an investment into the mining process, and hence we are eligible for getting the rewards and adding the new blocks to the blockchain. But why can't we have a system in which the whole reward system, and in which we show that we are committed to the network, is internal to the network itself? So in what we do in such a system is that the trust and the consensus and the person who is trusted to mine new blocks is actually dependent on how many blocks do they actually own. So say every X number of seconds, or say 10 number of seconds, when a new block is mined, a person is chosen at random who is eligible to validate the block to the blockchain. And so this number, and the person who is chosen at random is the chances are weighted. So like say the more the person has invested in his own coins and is in the game for the long run, the more are the chances that he will be actually chosen to be a validator for the block. So that is the good thing about proof of stake. And the another good thing is that it doesn't cause any electricity costs that are associated with the Bitcoin system, and one can actually start validating blocks by using normal AMD or Nvidia graphic cards, and which are very cheap to buy. Unlike in the case of a Bitcoin system where you have to buy expensive Bitcoin hardware and ASIC chips, and it is very easy to start mining and validating new blocks. And another advantage is that there is actually not like there's the chances of a 51% attack are very less. So say if one wants to do a 51% attack and take over the blockchain, in a proof of stake system they would have to have 51% stake of the network. So they would need to actually buy a lot of coins, and say they start buying coins, then the demand will shoot up, and they would actually need to pay a lot of money to get the coins. And say if they succeed in even doing that, then why would they actually want to destroy a system, a network in which they have invested so heavily? So that is the advantages of a proof of stake system. So but the troubles associated with them are that, like in a proof of stake system, the whole new coin generation doesn't exist. So most of the coins are pre-mined and they are assigned at the time of genesis, in the genesis block, and everything is written down at the start of the system. So that can actually have some troubles, because say if people are not willing to sell the coins, so if one wants to enter the network, it can become really difficult, because unlike a proof of work system, there are no new coins are being minted. And so people are even using a mixture of proof of work and proof of stake. Like they are using proof of work for the minting process and proof of stake for the blockchain security process. So that is all about proof of stake. And the disadvantages are that one is the one which I have mentioned, that it can be difficult to join the network, and people who are at the introductory level may not be willing to sell their coins. Another is that since there is not much economic barrier to enter the system, people they usually start mining multiple blockchains using their cheap hardware, and they can actually rewrite history by mining multiple blockchains. And so that is and like they can simultaneously mine 10 blockchains, and in one blockchain they can like if they gather some more people as well, they can actually like change the whole record. It would be very easy. So here comes Ethereum and the Casper and Slasher system. And so what they have actually planned to do is they have made sure that one has put some economic deposit, like in the form of Ethereum, in the case of Ethereum network, in the form of Ether, which is their own internal token. And so if you want to be a validator, you put your Ether, and if they are deposited until the whole block is not validated, and if you validate a wrong block, you actually suffer losses, and the debited Ether is actually gone. So that is what they have tried to implement and solve this problem using that. And and there are even other systems which are being developed, that like delegated proof of stake, and other systems which are like Steemit uses, I think, delegated proof of stake and other consensus algorithms. It would be interesting to see the development which take place in the system and where the system is headed in the future. So yeah, stay tuned for further videos. Subscribe to the channel and comment down if you have any queries, and please like the video as well. Bye bye.